This is where the path tightens. This is where curiosity gives way to confrontation. Not because something has gone wrong, not because something real has been touched. Across wisdom traditions, seeking is often romanticized as a search for insight, peace, or transcendence. But the earliest layers of the Jesus tradition do not describe seeking as soothing. They described it as disruptive. Seeking presses against the structures that have kept perception stable. It applies force to the nervous system. It destabilizes the internal arrangements that once made life survivable. This is not failure. This is proximity. One of the clearest articulations of this process appears in the Gospel of Thomas, a non-canonical text attributed to Didymus Judas Thomas, preserved among early Syrian and later Coptic Christian communities, and discovered in the Nag Hammadi Library in Egypt. This tradition stands apart from the later Catholic and Orthodox canon, preserving a more interior, experiential strand of Judeo-Christian mysticism rooted in the sayings of Yeshua the Nazarene, a Hebrew rabbi from Galilee. There, the instruction is uncompromising. Let the one who seeks not stop seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will be disturbed. When he is disturbed, he will marvel, and he will reign over all. Gospel of Thomas, saying number 2. Some of the earliest Greek fragments of this saying, preserved at Oxyrhynchus, add a final movement. After reigning, there is rest, not collapse, not exhaustion, rest. This sequence matters. Seek, find, be disturbed, marvel, reign, rest. This is not academic study. This is anatomy. Disturbance appears here not as a warning sign, but as confirmation. Something false has been encountered and can no longer hold. Something habitual has been exposed. Something the body relied upon to stay oriented has begun to dissolve. Why disturbance? Because what is found contradicts the stories the body learned in order to survive. Before you had a belief system, there was sensory strategies. The eyes learned what to overlook. The ears learned what to tune out. Perception narrowed to maintain safety, belonging, and coherence. This narrowing became normal. It became invisible. It became our reality. Seeking threatens that arrangement. The disturbance described in the Thomasine saying is not anxiety alone. It is not emotional discomfort alone. It is the somatic shock of discovering that the internal world has been organized around partial truth, that identity has been built on filters, that the house of thought has rested on assumptions inherited from our families, cultures, religions, and survival history. Finding reveals the architecture beneath the architecture. Another saying from the same Thomasine tradition sharpens this insight. Recognize what is in your sight, and that which is hidden from you will become plain to you. For there is nothing hidden that will not become manifest. Gospel of Thomas, saying number 5. Revelation is not elsewhere. It is not deferred. It is not stored in heaven or sealed in time. It is already present, screened out by habit. What is in sight is not merely visual. It is perceptual. It includes what the nervous system allows into awareness and what it automatically excludes. Sensory filters decide reality long before theology interprets it. This is why the body resists truth before the mind accepts it. The eyes may register information the psyche is not yet prepared to integrate. The ears may receive sounds that threaten internal coherence. Disturbance marks the moment perception outruns interpretation. The body senses a contradiction before language can explain it. In the Hebrew prophetic tradition, this was already understood. Seeing and hearing were never neural acts. To see truly was to be changed. To hear truly was to respond. The prophets did not accuse the people of ignorance, but of selective perception. Rabbi Yeshua of Nazareth, speaking within this Hebrew lineage and later preserved in the Jewish Christian Gospel of Matthew, canonized by Catholic and Orthodox institutions, voices the same critique through Isaiah. This people's heart has grown dull, and their ears are hard of hearing, and they have shut their eyes. Gospel of Matthew 13:15, citing the Hebrew prophet Isaiah. Perception shuts itself down when truth threatens identity. Seeking reopens it. That reopening is experienced as disturbance because the nervous system recognizes the cost. Old internal laws begin to fail. They stop making sense. The division between mind, body, and spirit, long treated as normal, starts to fracture. The belief that body is a burden, the mind a tyrant, and spirit a distant abstraction is revealed as a survival compromise rather than a truth. This is the moment the house shakes. Related texts from the same Nag Hammadi collection, such as the Book of Thomas the Contender, speak directly to this phase, warning that those who awaken will be troubled, not by enemies alone, but by the collapse of former certainties. The trouble is not the threat. The trouble is the passage. Disturbance clears space. From that clearing comes marvel. Marvel is not entertainment. It is a stunned recognition that reality is a larger, more intimate, and more unified than previously allowed. In Greek, Thomasine names the shock that initiates philosophy and wisdom alike. It is the awe that follows disillusionment, not before it. Marvel arises when perception realigns, and for marvel comes reign. To reign over all is not domination, it is coherence. The all refers not to external control, but to integrated totality. The mind returns to its rightful role as awareness rather than tyrant. The body is reclaimed as sacred ground rather than obstacle. The breath, the spirit, the animating wind is felt as the unifying current rather than a distant ideal. Reigning is governance from wholeness. This inner sovereignty aligns precisely with another saying preserved in the canonical Jewish Christian tradition. The eye is the lamp of the body. If the eye is clear, the whole body will be full of light. Gospel of Matthew 6:22, Jewish Christian tradition. Light enters the body when perception is undistorted, when the lamp is cleaned, when filters are examined instead of obeyed. This episode establishes a critical law of the spiral path. If seeking does not disturb, it has not yet reached the body. And if it has reached the body, transformation is already underway. Disturbance is the nervous system renegotiating reality. It is perception widening. It is the signal that survival-based seeing is giving way to truth-based seeing. The search becomes steep here, not because the path is wrong, but because it is precise. The cracking of old frameworks is not collapse, it is clearance. On the other side of disturbance waits marvel. Beyond marvel, sovereignty, and beyond sovereignty, rest. Seeking continues, not for comfort, but for coherence. Not to escape the body, but to inhabit it fully. Not to accumulate answers, but to dissolve distortions. The disturbance is not the end of the search. It is the confirmation that the search has begun to work.